Why is everybody always picking on me? Always ripping apart poor old Harley Pop Ali. I've got a schnoz like the cos, but there's a lot more wrong with you, so back me up, guy.
Man, you're ugly too.
Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. My name is Harley Neville.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And I'm just checking the audio levels to make sure everything is sounding good and we're all good.
It's really a technical producer. Last week, we did get some feedback from Daniela. Shout out to Daniela, who said that it was a little bit quiet. So if anybody out there has any technical feedback for us, let us know.
We're good.
We're good.
Well, you say that, but the levels are the same this week.
Yeah. Well, we didn't change anything, but it's still good to get the feedback. It's still very nice.
For people that have been listening, and I'm talking, what I'm holding up now on the YouTube live stream is one of these overpriced craft beers. Overpriced because of the elaborate printing that's required and the multiple colours of the print, which are really the cost as opposed to the actual crafting of the beer. In my conspiracy theorist brain.
Me, on the other hand, I'm drinking a beer which is equally expensive and probably equally outrageous in terms of
look at all the intricacies of that on the front there.
Yeah. But, whatever. Welcome along to the show.
It's great to be here.
It is. It's we are in level 4 lockdown still. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed since last week. We've barely left the house. There's really absolutely no updates. You're in for a thrilling show.
Nothing's happened. Nothing cool's happened. In fact, it's getting casual now. If we can see here, I'm wearing my sweats now.
Yeah.
So I'm not even dressing well. I'm in my hoodie and sweats.
Yeah.
And I even thought, should I put some jeans on or something? And I was like, well, one, no one actually sees that. See the difference here. I've got the sneakers and sweats.
I'm dressed up with my Doc Marten boots and my trendiest ripped knees jeans.
Trendiest hipster jeans.
My vest, my cool vest. So yeah, I'm pretty cool actually. The Dr. Bad Film podcast that I mentioned last week was coming out. It has come out. And I've uploaded it to the YouTube. I've put it on, obviously they've uploaded it to their YouTube channel and I've shared it and encouraged people to go there. But of course, I also downloaded it myself. I did this with permission and uploaded it to our channel for some bonus content on our channel as well. So if you haven't caught up with that yet, you can. It's on our YouTube channel. It's also on everywhere that you're listening to this right now. It's available in all of those places. So if you missed it, go check it out. Did you listen to it, Guy?
I did listen to, 15 minutes of it.
The first 15?
No, I kind of skipped about a little bit.
Yeah.
But I grew tired of your stories that I've heard a million
times. Yeah.
Which is what happens, unfortunately. Because you go to your defaults.
Yeah.
Don't you? You go to your you go to the things that you always say about the film that are interesting.
Yeah.
But if you've heard those stories before, they're no longer interesting.
Yeah. Well, after 10 years of hearing the same stories plus living them. I can understand how you might feel that way.
It is funny though because I did happen. One of the bits that I skipped about to was literally the thing that you told that you said on this podcast about the athlete's dick.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh God. So I did I listened to some of it before deciding that I'd heard it all before.
Yeah. Well,
so if there was any new information shared, I'll never know.
You'll never know. There was one slight fuck up that I did. They asked about because we were talking about delays, why it was delayed. I said the practical effects didn't work very well and I survived a zombie holocaust and that we had to fix a lot of those practical effects in post-production, which was not budgeted for or scheduled for. And that was one of the things that caused sort of the post-production to spiral out of control for 4 or more years. And they said... they said, oh, the visual effects are very good. And I said, yeah. Well, that was, and I was trying to think, wait a minute. I was trying to remember who did the visual effects. And I was like, Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams did some visual effects. That's true. He did do some visual effects on it. And I was like, David McLaren. I think I name dropped David McLaren. He was the colorist. Right? He did some color work on it.
He did.
So I was like, okay, cool. But I did not mention Sam Scott, the the true
the visual effects
savior,
supervisor.
the true savior of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. So shout out to Sam Scott. He probably doesn't listen to the podcast.
Shout out to Sam. He definitely does not listen,
and that's lucky.
He doesn't like to do anything via the medium of the internet.
Right.
So he doesn't really like replying to emails. He doesn't really like even doing texts and stuff. He will love to have a chat. Give him a call. He'll have a chat with you. But this is the thing. Sometimes you have to understand people's methodologies, because at the beginning I was used to like sending people emails and getting replies. And then to find a guy that essentially is responsible for the schedule of visual effects who doesn't check his email really and doesn't really write replies and doesn't really do anything. But if you call him up, he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, that, and the thing. And it's like, oh, okay. So, it's just a interesting. He's like Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, he calls
in that
people.
regard. He only likes to call people.
Yeah.
Someone did put a funny sort of thing like in the filmmakers meme sort of thing. It was like Christopher Nolan, genius, because he doesn't use the internet, doesn't like emailing, doesn't think, and it's like. And then someone in the comments was like, well, yeah, but he also has 4 fucking assistants to do all that shit for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, valid
point.
Valid.
Yeah.
It is easy to say, I reject technology when you literally have servants to manage your technology that you're busy rejecting.
Neglecting. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so good on you. Good on you, Chris.
I don't really like talking on the phone that much.
A lot of people hate it nowadays.
I don't mind it, I guess, once it's started, but my heart always sinks when the phone rings. I'm like, oh no, especially because you're not expecting it, so you're not mentally prepared.
It's exactly like that. She hates talking on the phone. If there's any phone conversations to be had, I have to make a call.
Yeah.
If possible, I have to make the call.
Yeah. Well, I can relate.
Because otherwise it will never be done.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I can definitely relate to that. One of the people I've spoken to the most on the telephone is Tyler, the website creator. He doesn't email me or message me. He always calls me.
Yeah.
Always calls me. And I'm always like, oh, no, the phone's ringing. It's always Tyler. Shout out, Tyler. Thanks for tuning in. I assume he's out there. And also shout out to our Twitch listeners too. Now, last night, we live next to a major road, and on this road at 1:30 a.m. this morning, a car careened out of control, flipped and rolled and crashed into fences and took down a traffic light and a power pole, and the sole occupant of the car killed himself, I assume it's a him, in this crash, and he was going...
Really?
Yeah, extremely fast, like... Wait, this is a suburban sort of, inner city road. It's not a highway or anything like that, but it sounds like he was going extremely fast.
And it's basically also our road sort of goes in a sort of U around.
Sorry, when I say our road, I mean the big main road.
Oh, you mean
next
Dominion
to our
Road.
Well, I wasn't going to say which road it was, but yes. It was Dominion Road. And if you guys would like to come and stalk us, no worries. Just come find us.
Just
no
look
worries.
near Dominion
Just look
Road.
near Dominion Road. To be fair, it's a very long road.
So Dominion Road is a long, straight road.
Yeah.
There's no turning.
No.
So for this guy to go off the thing, he's got to be doing some pretty bad driving.
Well, I think he was going extremely fast, and he went up over a little hill, and I think he went up over the hill and lost control and went flying and yahooing and dying. But the funny thing was that I actually heard it. I heard a noise before.
Really?
No, so I didn't hear the crash because it happened too far away from me. But I heard a strange noise just when I went to bed at about 1 a.m., which was a car. Well, I assumed it was a car. Now, normally you hear a car, it goes brum, 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 into the distance, right? But this one just went brum, and seemed to just, I didn't hear any. I was like, that was a weird noise. And it made me picture the DeLorean. The DeLorean, when it jumps through time, it starts off, it's going somewhere, and then just suddenly it's gone and it's silent. And I was like, that was a really weird noise. And then I was like, oh, well, fuck it. It's not in my house. And rolled back over and went to sleep.
The only jumping anyone did was that man through the windshield.
Well, yeah. Rest his soul. Very sad episode of Who's Dead this week.
Well, see, this is the thing. Like, sometimes you can't obviously you don't want anyone to die needlessly.
No.
But it's also hard to have sympathy for someone going so fast down a completely straight road with no, twists and turns or anything that he would create an environment in which he could kill himself through a crash. And also, obviously that's putting a majority of other people at risk.
Yeah.
If you are going that fast and then suddenly your sympathy definitely diminishes.
Yeah. Well, rocks and stones went through the windows of people's houses and,
Right.
and stuff like that. So he definitely could have killed somebody. So yeah, it was minimal sympathy really. But I did think it was interesting that I heard that really weird noise and then it was probably him. It was the timing all lines up and everything. So it was probably him. I probably heard him in his last moments.
So I would have been up at that time as well, but did not hear a thing because I had my headphones on.
Very respectful of your flatmate / partner.
My girlfriend makes me put the headphones on.
It was extremely annoying to hear the same 15 seconds of your edit 500 times in a row while you work on that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Or wrestling.
Yeah.
Which is the other thing she might be hearing.
Yeah.
So Kiwi Jez is on the Twitch channel.
Yep. Shout out Kiwi Jezza.
He was worried there was going to be an impromptu phone conversation topic that was going to turn into an improv argument.
Yeah, he was worried that... Because the thing is, if you pick up the phone, you're improving. You have to improv. You've got to improv your answers.
you don't have
I'm
to
not
plan out in
prepared. I've had no
advance.
time to prepare them.
You're not going to sound clever or
I'm not-
articulate.
Exactly. I'm not prepared. So
And in fact,
it's rude. It's rude to ring a
sometimes
person.
when people do call up, you go, listen, let me know your questions.
Yeah.
I want you to hang up. Come back to me in 2 hours and I'll have some good answers for you. But if you ask me these now, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
I'm sorry.
Because there's no such thing as improv.
There's no such
And then you
thing.
just hang up on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Shout out Kiwi Jezza. Thanks for the cheers last week or a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was on Twitch. Much appreciated.
So if people are listening on the live stream, we do encourage you to ask questions because we haven't done anything. We're stuck.
Yeah.
And if so we've just had some COVID updates. And, this is part of now the COVID diaries again.
The COVID diarrheas.
And we did find out that there's been 24 cases today. And there was like 20 cases yesterday or something. And then before that was like 11 and 13 or something.
Yeah.
And so we're going the wrong way. We're sliding the wrong way.
And somebody in Mount Eden prison, which is dangerously close to us,
That's true.
has COVID.
Right.
Fortunately, he's trapped in there. But he got it somehow.
Fortunately, he can't get out.
Yeah.
He's in prison.
But he caught it. He caught it, and he was out in the community, and then he caught it, and then he got put in the prison. So, I mean, he's a criminal. He's probably not following the COVID protocols. So,
And this is
it's a concern.
I mean, this is the big problem for us, isn't it? Because we're on lockdown with this very contagious version of COVID. And the super contagious version really requires everyone to follow the rules. Whereas the last lockdown, it was probably like, if most people follow the rules, we're good, Whereas this one is like, no, if like one person doesn't follow the rules,
We're fucked.
and now so we're asking, so the whole Prime Minister's always like, keep it up, Auckland. You're doing great, Auckland. Bloody good on you, Auckland. But we got to keep going. And I agree with all those sentiments, but it is definitely it's hard to get everyone to do the right thing. And I was at the supermarket the other day. I had to get some beers for our barbecue.
I just came from the supermarket. I had to buy some beers for this podcast.
And so, that's a good question. We'll get to that. So, I was at the supermarket. We were standing up in an orderly queue, waiting to be let in by the security guard. And he was like, have you scanned in? Have you scanned in? Have you scanned in? To each person. And they're like, yep. And then this one lady was like, oh, we've all scanned in, all right? We've all done it. We're all scanning in. Everyone's scanning in. Like, flipping out at him. And he's like, all right, well, I'm doing my didn't say I'm doing my fucking job, but I wanted to flip out at this lady.
He's doing his job, Karen.
Because it's just like, Jesus Christ. And it was a Karen. It was a full-on Karen. It was a white...
Was she a middle-aged white woman?
She wasn't middle-aged, but she was like a white... Well, unless you consider us
unless
middle-aged,
you can, which obviously you don't.
so a young white woman in her 30s, probably. But it was just like, fucking get over yourself. Like, how hard is it for us? Why is it so hard for us to do these minimal... Get a fucking vaccination.
Yeah.
Put a mask on.
Yeah.
Keep in your bubble for a certain period. Like, is this really beyond the human race now?
Yeah.
Is this, and I also read like a friend of ours posted online, and he was like, I'm very sorry to announce that one of my friends has just died. This is over in LA. Has just died of COVID. And he was a COVID denier. He didn't believe in getting the vaccination. And now he's dead.
I do love the, it's just delicious, the irony just there. It's obviously horrible.
He was like, look, I'm really going to miss him. I'm just so upset that this was preventable.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, this pandemic, you wouldn't say this pandemic is preventable, but you would definitely say it's minimizable. If we all, like, even now, if we just follow the rules, because, like, the people that have COVID, if we're not spreading it, if you and I have got COVID, and we're just in here for 14 days, that's it. That's the end of COVID. And likewise, it's just this whole affront to my rights business, and I know we love talking about it, but I want to talk about it again. Okay, this whole thing, like, where it's like, like World War II, right? The sacrifices that each country made. Oh, we got no fucking food, so you get rationed out a fucking slice of cheese per week.
Yeah.
You are going to be starving for the next 3 years. You're going to go work in a factory and build munitions that's going to, like, be really bad for you in later life because you've inhaled all these fumes, right? All of these people were like, how can I help? How can I help the war effort? How can I help the war effort? And now, this is the same fucking... you would expect it to be the same thing. How can I help the war effort against COVID, the common enemy of COVID? How can I help the war effort? Get a vaccine? Sweet. All right. It's free. Is it free? Yeah. Do I just have to drive and park in a queue for a while? Oh, fuck, okay. But instead it's like, oh, it's an affront to my rights. We don't know. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know. What are the long-term effects? What are the long-term effects? I've heard a lot of people get COVID and they're totally fine. It's just like so much dumb shit. And it's just like, we as a society have just become a bunch of selfish assholes. Whereas before it was for king and country, right? It was, how can we help? And now it's like, well, this is an affront to my rights. So fuck all the people that I kill with my COVID. Fuck you guys, because my rights. I don't know. It just winds me up when I see the Karens in the supermarket and I see, like, people campaigning. Like, I've maybe, like, I also saw, like, another one. Man, I've been watching too many, like, alt-right, right-wing Richard has led me down a rabbit hole or something here. And now I'm just seeing, like, I saw a hip-hop song that was like, impeach Joe Biden. Yeah. Bring Trump back. And it was a bunch of black guys. Yeah. And it's like, you understand, like, how do you not understand that this is an incredibly racist man? Yeah. That you versus a man that is at least sympathetic to, the African American population, and is, so you've devoted a whole fucking song to getting this racist guy who hates you back in. You've spent money on this. This was shot on a good camera. This was like, how is this happening? Like, there was another tweet. I can't remember the tweet, but it was like, man, I've never been more disappointed in humanity and its recent ability to cripple itself and bring about its own destruction. And I can't help when I see these Karens at the supermarket. She's mad that she has to scan in. Like, is this Is that really that hard? If you don't have your phone on, is it really that hard to, before you walk in, just write down your details?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, for all these freedoms that we have, is that too much to ask?
Evidently it is, guys.
Evidently it is.
Evidently it is. That was good. That was a good Harley Neville-esque rant there, Guy. That's good.
I'm fired up about it
Fired
today.
up. Yeah. Well, I mean, to build on your World War II analogy, there would be, during the Blitz, right? The Blitz in England, where the Germans were bombing London and other cities like that. And of course, all the Londoners had to pull together. And one of the very important things they had to do was at night, they all had to turn their lights off and operate in the dark and make sure their windows were blacked out and all that type of thing. Because obviously, if you can see one light from above, you can bomb knowing that the city is there. So the whole city at night had to be blacked out during the Blitz, right? Now everybody did it, no problem. Nowadays, you'd have all these fucking buttheads being like, hey guys, don't infringe on my right to have the lights on. Okay, this
my
is my
freedoms.
This is my house, and in my house I can have my lights on. It's my freedoms. Yeah, but if you've got your lights on, they're gonna bomb the whole city. No, this is my fucking freedoms. So yeah, there was a guy on my Facebook who posted his personal, an American guy, his personal experience of COVID, which he has recently just recovered from. He said that he got COVID. And that he felt a bit sick, a bit unwell, but he didn't really think it was that bad. But then what actually was happening was he was not getting enough oxygen, and so he was kind of lightheaded because his lungs were not processing enough oxygen, and he was kind of lightheaded and a bit essentially delirious, but he didn't really realize it, and he thought he was totally fine. He was like, yeah, this is all good. He said he didn't really have a cough or anything like that, but he just felt a bit fucked up. But then one of his friends came over to see him. Luckily they weren't in lockdown. One of his friends came over to see him and was like, you're really, really incredibly sick, and I'm calling an ambulance immediately.
Yep.
And they called an ambulance. They took him away. He barely remembers the ambulance. And then he got to hospital. Again, he didn't really think it was that bad, but he was reading the doctor's notes on him, and they had to they didn't have to intubate him, but they had to do he had to wear a mask that was pumping oxygen into him and all that type of thing, and basically he read his and now he's got a month's long recovery because his lungs are all fucked up, and he's got a machine at home that gives him oxygen, and actually it was on the cards that he was going to die. And that the person in the bed next to him, who also had COVID, got told by the nurses and stuff to call his wife. They were like, yeah, there's a 30% chance you're going to die. We're going to intubate you now, and you won't be able to speak. So you need to call your wife right now. And so he had to call his wife before they quickly, gave him this tube, and he had to call his wife, and everybody in the ward could also hear what he was saying, and obviously he's in shock because, he's kind of surprised that he's maybe going to die, and so he had to call his wife and have everybody listening and be like, yeah, well, I love you, babe, make sure you take the chicken out of the freezer.
I'm going to miss you, and just do the thing, I promise I wouldn't cry.
And he doesn't know so basically my Facebook friend survived, but is now beginning a long recovery. But he doesn't know if the other guy survived or not. So I really don't want to be catching that COVID, which is why I don't want. I like New Zealand's elimination strategy, the idea that we just don't have it here. I'm all for that. Sure, you've got some concerns about the economy, the long-term concerns about the economy, and how does New Zealand function as an isolationist society at the bottom of the world, the North Korea of the South Pacific. How do we do that? Well, we don't know. We're probably going to have to let it in one day. But I really don't want to. I'm pretty happy with it not being here for now. But yeah.
We had a good run, Harley.
We did have a good run.
We
did have a good run. We really should have enjoyed that year and a half more. I did enjoy that year and a half where we were at level 1 and we didn't really have COVID in New Zealand. I did enjoy that, and it was very, very good. And I feel like I did enjoy it while the rest of the world was in various lockdowns and all the rest of it. But I feel like I should have enjoyed it more. I should have been going to more gangbangs, Like, I didn't have a single gangbang. There was a year and a half there where I could have had a full-on gangbang, and I only would have had to worry about the regular viruses. HIV and
hashtag gratitude.
Yeah, but I didn't. Now, if I'm going to have a gangbang, I have to worry about COVID and HIV and various other viruses. So,
My parents listen to this podcast, so shout out to them.
Shout out to the Pigdens. Shout out to the Pigdens. I know that. Shout out to Charlie P. He the great philosopher and the acknowledger of my system that you denied, the invisible hand job.
I didn't deny it.
You did deny it. You said it was a conspiracy theory.
I said,
and then I said no, it's real, and that's why you went and asked your dad.
No, I said you sound like a crazy conspiracy
Only
theorist.
if you don't know anything about the invisible hand job.
That's what I actually said.
Yeah.
And what the reason I went to my dad?
Because you were like, Harley's talking shit on the podcast,
No,
Dad.
not at all. The reason I went, I was like, can you break down some of these things that we discussed
Harley
on the
say.
podcast, from an actual expert's point of view, rather than some guy that's been reading a bunch of shit on the internet?
I'll have you know that the shit I read is very reputable. I am a graduate of Wineglass and Wikipedia University.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's all the same people that are COVID denying right
Yeah.
now. They're the same graduates, Harley.
Yeah.
They graduated from the same place.
Nah, they're not on Wikipedia, homie. They're on YouTube. They're on YouTube.
Yeah, they're on YouTube,
It's not the same. They ain't reading. They're watching. Dumb cunts. Shout out to our listeners on the live stream. So we've got a few questions, topics here on the live stream. There is, of course...
J-Rod Millionaire has chimed in as well, but you go first. You answer this.
Okay. So we got Kiwi Jezza. Kiwi Jezza asks, he says he's at the gym right now and listening to the podcast at the gym, which was awesome. And his question is, what's Harley's favorite TRX exercise? Because obviously I've mentioned on the show, I assume I've mentioned on the show that I do like the TRX. That 2 years ago when I used to go to the gym,
you used to do that.
I used to. I'm not too fat, but I need to work on it. But yeah, when I used to go to the gym, I used to use the TRXs a lot, and I highly recommend the TRXs. But the reason I don't have one he wants to know my specific TRX exercise. I don't have one favorite one. That's the beauty of it. I like the one where you lean back and you do like bicep curls with it.
Yeah.
I like it when you do whatever this one's called.
So what was the first one? Bicep curls. Yep.
So
yeah,
bicep curls. Yeah, and then you can also do so you're facing away from the anchor point.
Yeah.
And you're doing these.
Yeah, so that would be tricep. Well, they're in the traditional way you would do them.
Yeah.
They're actually called skull crushers.
Yeah, the skull crushers, but
if you're just your weight against.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what that'd be. Probably tricep dips, probably something like that.
Yeah. So you got your tricep dips. You got your bicep, your curls. I also I enjoy it for leg workouts as well. You can do various squats and lunges, and then I also just like the TRX for some all my various stretching requirements, because you can do an entire workout on the TRX. You can start with some stretching. You can do various workouts for your legs, your core, and your arms, and then you can do your cool down stretches as well on the TRX.
Well, I did notice that you were doing some jumping squats the other day.
Yeah.
When you're doing a home workout here in the backyard.
Yeah.
And those are pretty brutal.
Well,
I imagine you were pretty fucked after that.
Yeah, I didn't really realize that they were going to be quite that brutal.
I knew that you had not come up with this particular exercise yourself.
Well, I did. So the plan there was I always do sets of 12, which I actually learnt off you, and then you stopped doing that. You changed your workout, the way you do workouts. But I
normally do 3 sets of 12.
Oh, really?
If it's weight based.
Right. Yeah. So I just do 3 sets of 12 all the time of anything, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool. Well, I'll do a set of 12 of 4. So I'm jumping up 4 steps. So I'm doing squatting, and then jumping to the first step, squatting, jumping to the second step, squatting, jumping to the third, into the fourth steps, and then walking back down.
Hell.
And that's 1. And then
Hell
you
on
do
earth.
so 4 squats is 1.
Yeah.
And then you do 12, and then you do 3 sets of 12.
Yeah.
So that was quite it was quite a good workout actually. I'll probably do it again, but not anytime too soon. So
Yeah, but not like in the next month.
So there you go, Kiwi Jezza. Get those up, yeah. And then we've got Record Life Media on the live stream who says, I'm glad to be number 2 on the chat. Really find these podcasts fun. Well, thank you, Record Life Media. Shout out to you, and thanks for tuning in. Please make sure you hit subscribe and thumbs up and give us a review if you're on iTunes or anywhere like that. Daniela says, oh, that's why Harley takes so long to reply, because he's thinking of what to say. Yeah, I can't improv. I've got to think of what to say. It takes me a long time to reply to people sometimes. And I have had a few people on my chat messenger message me, and I've neglected them for quite a long time.
Because you need to think of
I've got to think of what... They're like, hey,
it
man.
was meant to be a real quick, casual conversation.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm going to have to park this one. Give it some time.
How you doing? Oh, shit. Oh.
How am I doing?
How am I doing?
How do I respond to this in a clever way?
Yeah.
And also Record Life
hello to
Media
Danielle.
asks, it's an interesting looking can. What drink is that? So this is a hazed and confused cloudy IPA, Emerson's. And
that's a Dunedin brand.
I will say that this Emerson's like mixed pack of like their beers might be my favorite mixed pack of all the beers. But I've just finished this one. And J-Rod Millionaire on the live stream asks 2 questions. Matrix 4 thoughts. Secondly, what have you been watching lately?
Mm-hmm.
So Matrix 4. We did very briefly say, did you watch the trailer? Where do you sit on it?
So I'm excited to see it. I shared it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/GuyAndHarley, and I'm excited to see it. I feel like, I really like The Matrix. I didn't really like the second one and the third one as much, obviously. No, nobody did. But I did still think it was, it was worth watching. And I did recently read sort of an explanation of Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Resurrection, or is that the new one? No, Matrix
Revolutions
or
something,
maybe. Resolutions, New Year's resolutions, high resolutions. Anyway, I did read a sort of a summary of all of that to remind me of what the fuck happened, because I think I remember watching that and being like, I don't know what the fuck just happened.
Yeah.
So it was quite good to read a summary of kind of the first 3. And then, this new trailer makes it look good, makes it look exciting. I think Keanu Reeves, you can't really go that wrong with Keanu Reeves, the modern Jesus.
Not at this point.
So, and it does look interesting. It does look good. It is really interesting that they recast Morpheus.
As another random just African-American gentleman, by the look of it.
Yeah, some guy I've never heard of, Muhammad something or something like that.
It has re-sparked controversy over that.
Why?
Because they're like, this guy looks like... Because we don't know actually what his character is.
Yeah.
But we're like, this guy looks like Morpheus.
Yeah.
Why don't you just get Morpheus back?
Yeah. What's the Morpheus actor's name?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. So, but from what I've read, it kind of seems like maybe it's because it's a younger version of him, as in it's a younger version of Morpheus. There's some sort of mucking around with time here in the Matrix,
right.
And that potentially it's meant to be the young version of him. So they can't be using 80-year-old Lawrence Fishburne.
They do. I mean, I always felt that they needed to address Lawrence Fishburne's weight gain between the first Matrix and the other 2 Matrixes, because he got fucking chunky.
Yeah.
And look, that happens to all of us.
Yeah.
But like at least like talk about it. It's meant to be the same time frame.
Yeah.
Plus you're starving on the in these like mini pockets of society where
Zion,
where who knows where you get any food from.
They must be eating
malnourished 100%, and then suddenly Morpheus is fucking getting chubby.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question is, if you plug into the Matrix from Zion, where you don't have the nutrient feeds being fed directly into you, and you go into the Matrix and you eat something in the Matrix, that must have no effect on the sustenance of your body. If you're plugging in from Zion instead of plugging in from your pod, so it just goes to show you should always just stay within the system. Just blue pill it, people. We recommend you don't ask too many questions.
I'm really looking forward to it actually, and in fact, I'm planning on shooting a little skit with you playing Morpheus.
I'm Morpheus. Are we going to do blackface?
No.
Ah.
You're going to be white Morpheus.
Oh, we're going to whitewash it.
Yeah.
We're going to whitewash the Matrix.
Well, then we're on lockdown.
What else are we going to do? Is it because I'm bald?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
Well, also, you're the only other actor.
Yeah.
So it's either you do it or I do it.
but we've got
I have to react. I have to act that bit of it.
You know, it's just
really
it is
wanna do
kind of
that.
crazy in this day and age, the way that I cannot play Morpheus. I can't do blackface. Now, I should be allowed to do blackface, guys.
Yeah, okay. Where are you going with this?
No, but I should be able to. Like, if you're playing a character, right? Like, if I was playing a character, you know, with a clown here, I would put on the clown here, and nobody would be like, "Hey, that's you're appropriating clown culture," you know. so.
This is the segment that you're going to take a snippet out of, and you're going to put up on the thing.
The highlight.
Yeah.
Or maybe. It depends how racist I end up looking.
Yeah, pretty well. It's look, it's not going to win you a lot of fans, I don't think.
But how if there's only 2 actors in the place, right? If you're in lockdown and there's 2 actors, and now somebody's got to play Morpheus.
Well, what you would say
now,
though,
should I play Morpheus in blackface
I
or
think
not?
I think you just say you shouldn't play Morpheus.
So I just can't play.
Yeah,
so,
you
so
just can't be Morpheus.
I can never play.
You can never. You can
a coloured
never
character,
cosplay,
a black character.
You can never cosplay as Morpheus.
Right.
In
Okay.
a skit, you just have to leave that off the table.
Yeah.
But
but we're going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it. But you
Okay.
will be white Morpheus.
Okay. I have a bad feeling about
White
this.
Morpheus.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
What if I told you, Neo? Nobody is watching these skits, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but what if I share it on my Facebook?
That'll be fine.
It'll go viral.
Really. Also, I don't know. Maybe we won't. We'll probably make a bit of it.
Yeah.
Actually, we will make a bit of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks cool. I think that this is the issue, right? If there was just Matrix 1, that would be like one of the greatest films of all time. It is one of the greatest films of all time. Unfortunately, Matrix 2 and 3 really put a damper on 1. Because it's like, wow, when you really expand this out, there's really nothing going on here.
Oh, I don't know.
There's really a whole lot of nothing. You need to rewatch those ones.
Well, I don't need to rewatch those ones if we're talking about the effect they have on the first
Fucking
one.
the gatekeeper or the keykeeper or the vampires or whoever the fuck they were.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, you got to kiss me? Well, why? Oh, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
You got to kiss me. Then I'll give you the secrets.
Yeah.
Why? What has this got to do
Here.
with anything?
Well,
Fuck.
here, eat this orgasm cake.
Oh, yeah. Let's not forget about
Let's not
that
forget the
fucking
orgasm cake. Yeah.
And the rave. Hey, guys, we're all going to die tomorrow. Well, let's have a rave.
Yeah.
We'll all be hungover for
Yeah.
the battle of our lives.
Yeah.
For the battle of our lives when we need to have all our wits. Let's have a rave and a big orgy.
To be
Whatever.
fair, I'm pretty sure in like medieval times and so forth, they probably did actually party quite hard the night before.
Well, they
'cause
wouldn't
they
have
thought
been
they were
at their
gonna die.
best in their battles then.
No. Well, not all of them would have done it. Maybe not the elite.
And so, what are we watching? Was the other question. So I have just finished.
Well, wait. Back to the Matrix for a second.
Okay.
So you do know, Guy,
Yeah.
that the Matrix is about the system.
Yeah, thank you,
The
fucking
system.
genius. Thanks for that.
The invisible hand job.
I really appreciate
Some people have
your
said
insight.
Some people have tried to say that the Matrix is about, for example, Catholicism. They've said, no, it's about Catholicism and escaping Catholicism. And it's like, well, it is. That's part of it. But religion in general, that's part of it. And escaping religion. But it's actually about this big system that we're in. And trying to break out of this system. The system that you thought was a conspiracy theory.
No, I said you sounded like a crazy conspiracy theorist.
People can go back and listen to that episode. But how can I sound like a conspiracy theorist if I'm talking about something which is real, right? The system. Obviously, you didn't believe the system was real at that moment until you had an enlightening conversation with your dad. Shout out Charlie P.
I'm not going to leave that one. So, yeah, I think The Matrix 4 will be good because it can't be worse than 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And so, really, if it's anything better, then it's almost like they made a decent sequel, whereas they couldn't around the first time.
Here's what it sounds like it is to me. It sounds like The Matrix Resurrected is what would have happened to Neo if he had taken the blue pill. So basically what's happening here is he takes the blue pill, he's got this boring humdrum life within the system, and then it sort of eventually it all unravels and he kind of, realizes he's the one somehow, some other way, I guess. But, because little hints of what's happening to him, remind him. But basically, I think it picks up. So it's not a sequel. It's not after the third one. It's after the first one. It's directly after the first one, except for he's taken the blue pill instead of the red pill.
Great fucking nerd theory right there.
Is it? Is that a nerd theory? Is it?
Well,
I guess we'll see.
only
We'll
a
find
fucking
out soon.
nerd would think about it that much, but
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable guess as to what it could be.
Extremely educated guess.
Although, I guess it doesn't matter how he looks in the Matrix.
Well, it doesn't matter, but also that's why he looks old, because basically he never took that red pill. And then he went another 20 years, and then he took the red pill somehow. Or he bumps into Morpheus or something. I don't know.
So, yeah, that's what I think. And what are we watching lately?
Well, Jason P. Diddy Combs did tell us to watch The Chair.
Yeah.
Now, you watched episode 1. Did you watch episode 2?
I watched all of them now.
Okay. Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good. So
Okay.
I appreciate... So, first I'm going to say this. If you've got a TV series recommendation or a movie recommendation, throw it in the chat, because after The Chair, I was very appreciative of that recommendation.
From Jason
It
P. Diddy
really,
Combs.
so from episode 1, you're like, yeah, I'm on the fence. After that, I literally binged the rest of them all in one go. The issue is, don't give me a TV series that there's like 20 episodes, because it probably ain't going to happen.
How many episodes in The
6.
Chair? Okay,
so
that's
it's nice and easy. It's
acceptable,
nice and easy
reasonable.
because I'm a busy man. Even though we're on lockdown, I got shit to do. So I'm not going to consume hey, I'm going to recommend you season 1 of this thing that's 24 episodes per season, and they've done 10 seasons of them. You can guarantee I'm not even starting. So, you got to keep it to limited series or movies, because those are the ones that I'm going to watch. So I watched The Chair. I thought it was really good. I thought it just kept getting better and better. And it was incredibly funny. The timing, impeccable comedy timing within that thing. But it also goes to show, if I can identify with a academic 50-year-old Asian woman, and if I can, as her as the protagonist, and I think it's amazing, then surely, to me, that's a reflection of what is great about storytelling. What is great about storytelling is complex and interesting characters. What's interesting is these sort of familial elements that you bring together, and the universal truths of our lives. So it doesn't matter if it's a middle-aged Asian woman who's also a very highly educated academic, or if it's a Uber driver who makes movies in his spare time. I feel like we really got into a segregation of what is good and bad. Like, oh no, you can't. We took too many white person stories, too many stories. Oh, this story, I can't relate to this story. And it's like, I think if you get those elements right, a lot of stories are relatable to just because we're talking about the human condition. So I feel like they are actually, if you do them well, you can do a story that I can make a story that connects to you. You can make a story that connects to me, even if our life experiences and ethnicities are completely different.
True
Just
that.
saying.
True that.
Just saying.
True that. Well, me, Jason did tell us to watch it.
And you did ignore him.
I did.
Promptly ignore his advice.
No, it weighed heavily on my mind. So I know, and you watched the other episode last week, so I thought I better do something about this. I better go, check this out. I'm going to watch this. So I went to Netflix. I searched for The Chair. There it was. I said, I'm going to watch the trailer first. I watched the trailer, and I was like, God, I really don't want to watch this. I was like, this is about a middle-aged academic, which I am not. And it looks okay, but it looks kind of like a comedy. I don't really watch comedy that much. Worse, it looks like a drama comedy, where there's dramatic bits and comedic moments. And I was like, that really doesn't sound like my bag. And so I watched the trailer, and I was like, oh, crap. And then I went and watched maybe I think I watched an episode of Drug Lords about the Cali cartel in Colombia, or something along those lines. So I am going to watch it though, especially because you've said it's good. So look,
I thought it was
Jason
really good.
Jason said it's good. You've said it's good.
Excellent.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to do it. But I did watch the trailer, Jason. So thank you for that recommendation.
Well, to be honest, when I watched the trailer, I was like, okay, don't really think I'm going to enjoy this. But I watched the whole thing. I was like,
But
man, this
a
is really
dedication to the podcast.
well, you got to respect your listeners' suggestions.
yeah,
Harley.
yeah.
You gotta, you know. So, I thought it was really good. So, The Chair was the last thing that I watched, apart from a bunch of werewolf films, which I did mention a previous one of which so far my favorite is Silver Bullet. But I've got a few more to watch. And Richard goes, I'm late, he says on the live stream. And it's like, sorry, Richard, we've already had your section, Right Wing Richard. We've already
The Sunday roast.
That. Yep,
The Sunday roast.
So you've missed that. You'll have to go back and listen to that. But appreciate you tuning in now. But we are taking listener questions. And I also want to throw it back to Jared because he's always watching interest. Two questions for Jared. One, what are you watching? Two, are you on lockdown at the moment? Because he's in Australia where there's lots of lockdowns also going on.
Yeah.
And in fact, my sister...
I think Australia's on the verge of giving up,
the
UK.
So my sister is like sort of chilling. Well, she was chilling. She came over here for a holiday. She went back to Australia into lockdown. So she could have kind of, in theory, just stayed. Like, it makes no difference, I don't think, if she had simply stayed over here for like another... at this stage, month or two. Interesting stuff.
Our dear friend and co-creator, collaborator, Leisha Ward-Knox recently moved to LA.
Yep.
Crazy time, if you ask me, to be moving to LA.
Insane.
The crotch of the world.
They are quite...
the infested crotch of the world. But, you know, it does look exciting, and it is a dream come true for an actor to finally move to LA. So I guess COVID be damned. Just do it anyway, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have... she said they all wear masks over there.
Yeah, all the time.
And no one bitches about it.
Well, I don't think that's true. But
I mean, obviously some people do bitch about it, but the general, like day-to-day, we're all just wearing masks in it.
Tyler, the website creator, on the live stream, he says that if Robert Downey Jr. can do blackface in Tropic Thunder, then so can Harley Neville. So, thank you, Tyler.
I'm not going to test that theory.
Yeah. No, we're doing blackface in your next skit. We're doing blackface. I'm going to be Morpheus, and we'll just ride the controversy. You know, see how it goes.
Just point them to your section of the podcast, that 1 minute section that you're going to clip out.
Yeah,
and go, this is your rebuttal to everyone that flames you online.
Well, I'll need to think of a better rebuttal, I think.
Yeah.
That was not great.
Yeah, I have
to... Record Life Media says Korean series, recommends a Korean series for all our listeners out there and for us, a Korean series called Squid Show. It's on Netflix. It's called Squid Show. It says it's a bit slow, but it's thumbs up. It's good. So thank you for that. And then Kiwi Jezza asks, have I seen Mandy? And if so, do I have any thoughts on it? He watched it a month or so ago, and he can't get the craziness out of his mind. Now, Mandy is the name of my ex-girlfriend 3 or 4 times removed. And
what, are you going to throw a tear out for all your ex-girlfriends now?
To be fair, we had a great relationship as well. Mandy and I did have a great relationship. And we keep in touch, as I do with all of my exes. And, well, pretty much all of them. She's definitely moved on now. She's had babies and is married and all of that type of thing. So you could say it's getting pretty serious with her new partner. So have I seen Mandy? The answer is yes. Have I watched the show?
It's a movie.
The movie? No, I have not.
I do.
Have
I have watched it. It's starring Nicolas Cage, and I think we have actually briefly mentioned it on the podcast here.
Okay.
But it's also by the guy who made Beyond the Black Rainbow, which is
I'm going to pee in the backyard.
A very highly enjoyable, very insane movie, which Jared J-Rod Millionaire on the live stream also recommended to me. Yeah, that's not good for my... should have really... Yeah, definitely not happy. Yeah, but you got to... I would... do the okay, never mind. It's got Zoe, the mascot dog, has joined us. I would pick her up to show you, but she hates being picked up, and she will yelp, even though she's not hurt. So yeah, Beyond the Black Rainbow, which was by Panos Komatos or something like that. I can't remember how how to pronounce that name, but he made Beyond the Black Rainbow and Mandy. They're both very crazy films that are 100% worth your time. If you haven't seen either, I would recommend a double bill. Watch them both. But I really thought Mandy was great. It's another classic, insane Nicolas Cage performance, but very, very good. So, yeah, I highly recommend them both. And that's the end of the podcast. Oh, Harley's trying to come back in. So what Harley did is when he went out, he didn't roll up the block out blind, which was down to keep the sunlight out. So he just ruined the blind. But he's back now.
Firstly, it's not ruined. It's perfectly fine. Secondly, it's completely not required. Thirdly, you should put that up. Put that back up next time so it's not in the way. Fourthly, I'm just going to message your girlfriend and tell her we've got your dog.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got him. So I've just covered my two topics, which was the chair and COVID. We're up on COVID. So they're due to announce whether Auckland, so Auckland's the only one that's in alert level 4, and they're going to announce tomorrow where we're at. And judging by the fact that we've got a couple of unlinked cases, we've got COVID in the wastewater.
It is tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got COVID in the wastewater.
We've got COVID in the prison system.
There is absolutely no chance, I'm saying it now, calling it now, there is absolutely no chance they're going to go, oh, you can go down a level. They're saying, just another week, guys. Just hang in there, guys.
Yeah. A week ago, I did predict that. Somebody was asking for predictions, and I said...
We both predicted it.
So it's going to be 2 weeks, but it's going to be a week at a time.
Yeah, because they don't like...
telling us 2 weeks.
No one likes bad news.
No, you tell us 2 weeks.
The doctors do the same thing.
Yeah. They go, you've got 6 months to live, and then 6 months later, you've got 6 months to live.
We were a little bit wrong. You've got another 6 months, maybe. So, it would be better if they gave you the news the other way around, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you got 12 months.
Yeah.
You can actually go do something.
Yeah.
You can go to Mexico. You can spend your life savings on hookers and cocaine, and really just spend your last 12 months on the beach.
What would you do if you were given 12 months to live right now?
Hookers, cocaine, beach. Just told you. Mexico. What else are you going to do? No, I would document some stuff. It would be like... Maybe I would feel compelled to create a final magnum opus, a piece of art.
Last will and testament.
Yeah, set up something that lasts longer than just me. Maybe, have as many children as possible for the genes, to pass on my genes, the genetic, for the sake of evolution, these excellent genes need to be passed along. So it's very important. So I would put...
The carbon footprint any child that you would potentially produce greatly outweighs any possible genetic benefit that you could possibly give the human race at this point.
Well, yeah. I am a carbon copy of what's wrong with the world, and I come at a huge carbon cost. But look, I do have some feedback here. Oh wait, do you want to tell us what you would do if you had 12 months left?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I would probably do the old cliche, right? I would probably...
Hookers and blow on the beach.
I would probably just go and do a little bit of traveling or something.
Right.
I guess it sort of depends on the condition that you would be.
Well, let's imagine that you're in good nick and you're just basically, the last... little while you're going to be bad, but basically you've got 12 good months, where you can actually kind of...
Yeah.
Because obviously you're not going to be... if you're miserable and lying in bed because you're super sick, then hookers and blow on the beach in Mexico sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, I'd probably just go and see a few sites that I hadn't seen around the world, So I'd probably go on a sort of an extended holiday and
The problem would be doing it by yourself would actually, like, I don't know, I've done a bit of traveling by myself,
Yeah.
and it can be quite lonely. It's
No,
actually,
no,
you're like, this is really cool, I'm seeing this place,
no,
but I wish my loved ones were here.
No,
I wish I had loved ones.
I'd have to take my girlfriend, obviously. Yeah. So me and my girlfriend would probably go on a trip.
How's she going to feel about the hookers and cocaine, though?
She'll be okay with it because she knows I'll be gone soon.
Yeah. All right.
She'll be willing to make some accommodations because she'll feel sorry for me because she knows that I'll be soon dead.
Yes.
So that's what I'd do. And then I'd maybe try and shoot another film, so I'd set aside some...
Add some stress into your life.
Well, that's the thing. I think the only way that I could feel like I'd wasted my life is if I finished shooting the film and then I was the one that was editing it.
Yeah.
If I was editing it up in that room, yeah, that would be a serious waste of life. But if I just shot it and I was like, I hand the keys to the kingdom to the next person, to you, Harley. But see, I couldn't trust you to get it finished.
Oh, that's bullshit. Of course you could.
couldn't-
I wouldn't be editing it myself.
Yeah.
But I would get it finished, for sure.
Well, that's probably what I'd have to do. So I'd shoot it and just hand it over.
Yeah.
The sad part of all that is...
What?
I would die, of course, so
Yeah.
I'd never see it finished. But also, I would probably be really unhappy if I could look from beyond the grave
And see the...
at the
cut.
final cut.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what?
That's not how I intended
That's
it.
not you picked all the wrong takes.
To be fair, though, you would... I feel like that would happen no matter who was in charge of it. And if anything, I would be closest to your original vision. Because you are notoriously picky with your films and need a certain level of perfectionism, and so it's no doubt that your ghost would be
I'd be haunting that editor.
Would be very unhappy. You would be turning in your grave, but you would be no matter who was doing it. At least with me, you could give me some good notes before you left.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. The hard part is I just feel like the flow of an edit is really subjective. And whenever you throw it to other people, they do a bad job. And then you go, okay, cool, let me, because I was shooting with my rhythm in mind.
Well, this is why it takes so long to do the post-production, though, because you've got your own vision in mind when you shoot it, and then it doesn't get edited in that way because the poor editor can't read your mind.
Poor editor's a dipshit.
The poor editor can't read your mind, and then so as a result you end up having to go back and edit a bunch of things when it's like, okay, look, here's what we need to do. You need to just accept that you're the editor of all of your films, but here's what you do. You've got to work with an editor at a set time every week for a certain amount of hours, and you sit over their shoulder, and basically they do the actual artwork, the craft of editing, and you sit there being like, no, this take, and let's hold this for exactly 6 frames more, and let's do this one 6 frames earlier, and that type of thing. And that's how it will be quick and how you can work well with an editor.
The whole problem with that methodology, though, is if you're over their shoulder doing that,
you might as well do it yourself.
You're essentially your hands are just not on the keys.
But that's not true though, because like firstly, if they're an editor who really knows how to do it, they will know shortcuts and ways and tricks and bits and bobs that you don't. But also, you can sit with them for a session and then explain to them exactly what you want, and then you go away for a week and you come back a week later. They've done some more work while you weren't there, but they know what you wanted, and then they're getting a feel for how you think and what you want, and then you come in a week later and then you just tweak what they've worked on for that week and go, oh yeah, cool, so that is actually basically what I want, but let's do this and that, the other thing.
I've been there, I've seen it,
and it worked great,
and it did not work very well. And
well, then the only other option is to edit yourself.
No, the only other option
is to have a mind-reading editor.
Not at all. The only option is to find a good editor. That's the thing. You need to fight, like, so there's editors at your own level, but there's editors that are fucking leagues above my level of editing. I just can't afford them. And so I'll use my life savings, of which I have none.
Yeah, you use your life debt.
I'll use my life debt. I'll rack up some more debt for the family to get one of those really good editors.
Yeah.
Go have at it.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to just pay a lot of money to be disappointed.
Well, I won't know.
because you'll be dead.
I'll be dead.
Yeah. Well, I've got some feedback here from Liam Hegarty, long-time listener Liam Hegarty. Liam Hegarty has been around maybe since the beginning. I'm not sure when Liam started tuning in, but maybe since the beginning of the Guy and Harley podcast, which has been, 5 years, 216 episodes. 216? Yes, 216 episodes. He corrects me from last week when I said that Tricycle, the squeak of its wheels is the music of death, was a book by Stephen King. He says that, no, that's not a Stephen King book. And he remembers the cover as well. I always thought it was Stephen King. Turns out it's Russell Rhodes. So thank you for correcting me, Liam. I always appreciate constructive feedback. And he asks for my thoughts about smoking cannabis during the day. Yay or nay? Well, this will come as a surprise to none, but I believe that smoking cannabis during the day is an excellent idea. I believe that you can smoke cannabis at any time of the day or night, but that smoking it during the day is actually the best time to smoke it because, let's assume that you're not going to work or whatever, or you've got something that you can do at the computer. That's the perfect time to do it. Say you're like doing your yoga, do your yoga on a sunny day. You got your yoga mat out, you have a wee smoke, you do your yoga mat, and you work out for a while, or you work at the computer doing whatever it is you've got to get done. So really smoking weed at night, that's irresponsible because it can affect your sleep. You smoke it during the day, but by the time nighttime comes around, you're good as gold to go to bed. So.
Man, some brilliant insight, yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of 9 a.m. on Monday. 9 a.m. on Monday when all the plebs are going to work, spark up a doobie, get it done, get your work done. So that's my thoughts on that, Liam.
I don't really need to weigh in on this.
No. I did give one of my special cookies to your significant other.
Yeah.
Which you suggested on the show last week. Jamie Oxley, shout out to Jamie Oxley. Also, he's been listening for a long time. He is the truck driver from the outback of Australia who cruises under the the broad horizon, nothing but the stars twinkling above him as he drives his truck through the deep outback of Australia.
Yeah.
And so he's been listening to the podcast, and he was listening to the episode recently where we talked about Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit and his dad look and all that type of thing. He says that he's sorry that he missed a couple of episodes. He's getting caught up now, and that the show actually was really good, that Limp Bizkit show. As he apologizes for not sending us homebrew. He was meant to send us some homebrew to drink on the show. He has not come through on that promise. And that it's really smart for Fred Durst to embrace this dad look because it means that he doesn't have to jump around as much, but he can still be entertaining. So
that's a good point.
Thank you for that.
We all go through phases, and I do think it's important not to sort of outlive your phase of life and what you portray as your screen persona or your musical persona, or you kind of need to shift. Otherwise it becomes embarrassing at a certain point. So you need to sort of transition.
Yeah, you can't be like
can't be Slim Shady forever.
No, and Blink-182, like Blink-182 at a certain point you can't be like, I'm walking down the hallway at the school, checking out the chicks, they think I'm so cool. And it's like you're literally a 45-year-old man.
Yeah.
You can't be singing about walking down the high school.
You need to cut out this angsty bullshit. You need to drop this angsty bullshit right now.
Yeah, so that's really the that's how good bands have longevity, as they change. And the problem with doing that is that there's a lot of haters and naysayers out there who they'll be like, oh man, you've sold out, you've changed, your music didn't used to be like this. And it's like, yeah, of course, whoever the band is, of course their music didn't used to be like that, you fucking idiot. Well, you're going to expect them to say the same shit for 20 years? Like, obviously, they've got to evolve, and you've got to evolve with them. So if you don't get why your favorite band has changed their sound, it's because you're not as mature as your favorite band.
Also, the problem is, like, people get sick of doing the same shit.
Yeah,
so, like,
artistically, you're not motivated.
Yeah, if you've developed a formula and you've been very successful with that formula, if you continue to do that formula, it's not exciting for you. You coming up with that formula was the exciting part. Once it's done, you're kind of like, okay, cool, what's the next challenge? Because it's not just repeating that thing again. So yeah, but we are very critical, especially of our musicians in that regard. Wasn't as good as the first album.
Yeah.
Jared says that he's watched Macabre, which he said was very good. So I'll be interested in watching that. And he's also been rewatching the Reanimator films. Now, the Reanimator, especially number 1, is an absolute classic. Highly recommend that, and was heavily influenced by that film when I made I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. And in fact, I used a name from Reanimator, the doctor character who was playing a mad scientist.
Harold.
He ended up calling him, it was Dr. Herbert West, right? And then we had to change that to Dr. Herbert White with ADR because the insurance company was worried that by using that name, that Reanimator name, I think it was Herbert West, I can't really remember, I'm just guessing, that essentially they could sue us.
Yeah.
So we had to ADR that.
Not limited liability insurance. What's the insurance called again? The one where you've got to No, it is limited.
It is
limited liability insurance to make sure that if you have your film and you release your film and the distributor says, yeah, sure, we'll release your film, I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and there's a character in it called Herbert West, and then and they haven't checked properly and made sure that everything in the film, that we own the rights to every single concept and every possible thing in the film, that then the distributor can get in trouble financially if the reanimator people then say, well, hang on a minute, this is our intellectual property. So what you've got to do before the distributor will distribute your film is you've got to get this limited liability insurance, which is an insurance, and so that says that you own everything in it, and the insurance company will check your film and go, well, hang on, do you own all of this?
Yeah.
Do you have the rights to all of this? Yes, you do. And then they turn around and say to the distributor, yes, we officially
sign off
on this. And so if it turns out that we have snuck something through that we don't own, the insurance company, if the distributor gets sued or whatever, and the insurance company will pay for it. And so to get that limited liability insurance, they go through it with a fine-tooth comb, making sure that we do actually own everything. And so the insurance company said, change that from Herbert West to
something
Herbert.
else.
It wasn't Herbert White, I don't think. But yes, so that's what happened to us.
Pretty sure it was.
Was it? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, which was a total fucking waste of time, but whatever.
Of course it was. Huda Moss, my cousin, says that he's at an Airbnb at the moment, or he was at an Airbnb, and he was on a road trip through Australia to get into a new job, and he stayed at a bed and breakfast type place, and they had Tubi on the TV there, and so he went immediately to Tubi and searched for Older, our second feature film, which you can find out more about at olderfilm.com. And so he went there and he watched it, which was great, and he said it was very good. He said he enjoyed it. So shout out to Huda Moss, thanks for watching that. It's a shame that you had to watch the Tubi version, which has 6 minutes of sex cut out of it.
Sorry for your loss.
Sorry for your loss. If anybody wants to watch the version with the sex included, you've got to be in New Zealand or Australia, and you've got to go to vimeo.com and just go to olderfilm.com, and you can click on it. There's a link there, and there's a place where you can watch the Vimeo version of Older. And on the Vimeo version, it costs more, but that money goes directly to us. There's no third person taking any cut of that apart from Vimeo.
And we really deliver with that extra 6 minutes.
There's a lot of sex in there, and as
that
mentioned,
extra 6 minutes, as you might say.
I see what you did there. And as mentioned on this show, you can actually see the base of Guy's shaft at one point. If you know where to pause, you can see the base of Guy's shaft, and I think that's worth the extra money. So if you're thinking about that, do go to check out olderfilm.com.
Richard says that one of Backstreet Boys' best albums, DNA, was released in 2019. Okay. Approximately 20 years past their heyday. Maybe not 20 years.
Why is he talking about
15 years? Because we're talking about the evolution of musicians.
Ah, I see. Okay. Good. Well, that's a good point. That's a valid point. So I got a question for you, Guy.
Yeah.
It's not listener feedback, it's host feedback. Host topic. What do you miss most about being in lockdown? See, for me, right, one of the things I'm just really struggling with is the coffee situation, and
no coffee.
also just waking up every day and not having anywhere to go to, and also a big thing of it is my freelancing, right? I'm a freelancer. I work in film and TV as a freelancer, and so a big part of that is always having to hustle for the next job. You can't hustle for jobs when there's not really much happening.
They ain't doing shit.
And when the thing about freelancing is you've got to keep that ball rolling, and every time the ball stops, it takes a wee while to get the ball rolling again. So just say we went to level 1 tomorrow, I wouldn't go back to full-time work tomorrow. No. I would need to take several weeks or possibly months to get shit rolling again. And we're still a month away from being in level 1, or who knows, maybe longer. Maybe we'll never be in level 1 again. And so yeah, I miss like getting my hustle on, and I miss having a good coffee. And I do also miss going down to the pub and socializing with real life humans.
Yeah. So for me, it would definitely be like number 1, the gym for me.
Well, I did also really, when I was coming back from Japan, before I went to Japan, I was like, that's it, I'm signing up for the gym. And I was like, well, it's dumb to sign up for the gym before you go to Japan. It's just dumb, because you're going to be away for so long. Sign up when you get back. I went away, I went into isolation, and then we went straight into lockdown level 4. So I didn't get the chance to...
There's just no motivation for these bullshit home workouts.
Yeah.
Like you go, cool, yeah, I could go out into my backyard and fucking potter about and do some push-ups and some sit-ups and some blah, blah, fucking blah. But A, that's not going to be as a good workout as when you have actual machines dedicated to working a specific muscle group. And it's the same thing with this whole... When you go somewhere to do something, you are filled with purpose to do it.
Well, you can't go all the way there and then just go, fuck it.
When you walk down to your backyard and like look around and go, it's a bit chilly.
Yeah.
Don't really feel like doing anything.
Fuck all this.
So that would be the big number 1. The other one would be restaurants and cafes. I really do miss. I'm a big fan of going out with my girlfriend to a cafe and having a bite to eat. That's one of our big social things that we do. So I definitely miss that. And then I would say wrestling as well. I am missing my close personal friend, Alex Savage, wrestles. And there ain't going to be no wrestling. And if I were a betting man, I'd say ain't going to be no wrestling for the rest of the year. And, that's something that is a real shame because he was in the middle of a feud which is now essentially stretched out for like 2 years because there's been these big COVID pauses of sort of 6 months or so, and so it's kind of frustrating because it is a magical experience walking out in front of a crowd, and the problem with filmmaking is there's no immediate validation, and in fact sometimes there's no validation whatsoever because you make something, you put it out, and no one gives a fuck, right? Whereas when you walk out and you hear the crowd around you cheering and you see little kids and they come up and want your autograph and stuff at the end, and you can see them 100% invested in what's going on, you get a very good gauge if something's working or not working. And you get that immediate validation of, okay, people are invested in this, or okay, back to the drawing board, maybe they're not. And that's something that with a movie, it's like, well, let pose this question in 6 months' time, not 6 months' time, 7 years' time. But I will say though, I have been having quite a few people reach out to me on my Instagram and stuff with Older, and someone just messaged me the other day. The third time watching Older, gracias Sky Pig didn't, because it was not from it was from Spain or somewhere like that, where we've recently released it, and that was fucking cool because I have been incredibly humbled by the people reaching out to me, because when I made the zombie film, and part of this is just the time that we live in, where we're more accessible online, but I made the zombie film. Ain't no motherfuckers reaching out to me. Now, on the flip side, we got into some really cool festivals, and we got to go to those festivals, and we got to bask in that you're special. Here's the festival that shows you that you're special. So that's all off the cards, and that was, not the case for Older. But then we've got all this feedback after the fact, which is like, do you do it for the festivals or do you do it for the actual connection that you make, with these people that relate to the film? Ultimately, the festivals.
Yeah.
You want to go to the fucking
I
festivals?
want to go to the festivals. Yeah. Well, look, we're going to get that same feedback when we get to next year, when we get to re-release Zombie Holocaust ourselves on our on platforms of our choosing. We will get that feedback. We will restart that feedback loop. So don't you worry about that.
Have we released Older in Europe somewhere? Well, yes, we have. It is available on Amazon in most English-speaking countries.
Yeah, it's...
We have also released it in France, in French-speaking territories, so French-speaking territories.
Yeah, French-speaking, Spanish-speaking, and English-speaking territories on Amazon Prime, Tubi. I think it's on... Is it on iTunes?
Tubi doesn't have a European section, I don't believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yes, the answer is yes, we have.
Yes.
If you're speaking French or Spanish.
Or English.
Yeah. So what were we talking about before that?
Well, I can relate to the validation of the immediate validation of the stage. There's a lot to be said for that immediate validation of a live performance, which I recall from my poetry and stand-up comedy days. And there's definitely something to be said for this idea that you get up, you do it, and you know straight away if it worked or not. And then if it did work, it feels awesome. And if it didn't work, it's still quite motivating because you're like, oh, cool, I can kind of see how it could work. It's that immediate validation and feedback, which is definitely super valuable. I do want to get back on the poetry and comedy wagons, but it's extremely difficult with all of these lockdowns happening as well. Obviously...
No shortage of time to write the material, though.
Well, it's true, but there is a shortage of motivation to write this material because I'm not doing anything with my... there's nothing exciting happening in my life. I'm just fucking sitting around in a house. I'm living the dream of most of humanity up until this time, which is to be able to chill out at home and have everything paid for and have food in your belly. I'm really living that dream. But the problem with being content is that it's not very good for creating content in terms of inspiring
see
you.
What you did there?
Inspiring you to, you need adversity. You need adversity to create.
Also, you
art.
need dissatisfaction and a chip on your shoulder. That's what you need. Dissatisfaction and a chip on your shoulder. Rage and anger can be the greatest motivator.
Well, exactly. Rage.
Speaking of
against
motivators,
the dying light.
Richard is. I'm chatting with right-wing Richard about the possibility of making a short film. He's had a cool idea for a short film, and and my part in all of this, I had to produce a budget. I had to make a budget. And
using my template, I believe.
I did use your template.
How was my template? Was it all right? So.
That was all right. It was fine. I mean, it's the template we've used for a decade probably now. But yeah, so I had to make a sort of a speculative budget. That was my role so far, and also to potentially direct it. And then Richard had to come to the table with the script writing, and in fact, feedback on the budget. I threw the budget up. I said, "Here you go, guys. This is just please be aware, it doesn't have to be this expensive. We can do it for cheaper." But there you go, and I was met with crickets. I was met with a audible no reaction to that budget. So Richard, where you at, brother? Did you sit down and do that brainstorming session? Did you, as they say, nut out that script? Or did you do Nothing. Let me know in the comments. And I should mention that one other film that I have recently watched is the newly released James Wan film, Malignant. And I was super excited about this because he is the guy that has made The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2 and one other one that's really quite good. And I was like, oh, it's going to be the same. And, well, it wasn't. Just talking about Malignant, which is a new horror film that's just been released. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. It's interesting. There's some cool ideas in it, but it's absolutely, completely unscary in a way that most of his films are actually genuinely really scary. So that's my sort of review of that.
Last night we had a barbecue. We also got the fire started for the first time in our new backyard. Very exciting for me, a pyromaniac, to light the fire in the backyard. Now, by the way, dear listeners on the live stream, is a very extremely excellent time to give us your listener topics, because Guy has no notes and my notes are exhausted. So now is a very extremely good time to give us that if you would like to prolong this show, because we've got all the energy in the world for talking. We just need your help with the topics. But so last night we had we finally got to light the fire in our backyard. We had our marshmallows, toasted marshmallows. We had a barbecue. We had beers. And I've got to say that if you're struggling through this lockdown at the moment, if you're out there and you're struggling through this lockdown, and maybe it's a little difficult mentally, maybe you're all on your lonesome out there, I want you to know that it is worth holding on and staying strong, because I think of myself last year, and my lockdown last year was in a very small, shitty flat with a very low ceiling, and there was this bit of paint on the roof that was peeling off, and I'd wake up every day and look at this fucking piece of paint, and it was just this miserable, dark little flat with no outdoor space, and I was not hanging out with anybody. I was just really going through it all on my lonesome. I was recovering from the worst back injury I'd ever had in my life, or the worst injury I'd ever had in my life, and I was in a really low place. And then here I am, 12 months later, and my lockdown looks a lot different now. I've got everything that I could need. I am back under the same roof as writer-director Guy Pigden, my co-creator and best friend. There's a dog literally right here. There's animals in my life. And also my back's feeling better. So this was a really a lot of improvement. They're really opposites. This year and last year, my lockdowns, very opposite sort of experiences, and this one is a lot more positive. So if you're struggling out there with this lockdown, hold on, ride it out.
Hold fast.
Could happen to you too.
You mean it could pick up?
Yeah, well, as in my lockdown this year is a million times better than my lockdown last year. I've got a big backyard where I can light fires.
Last lockdown, I was making a short film, which I always enjoyed doing. So this...
Well, plus you were working from home, which kept you mentally occupied. Plus, you had a live-in girlfriend and 2 dogs. This is all very important stuff.
Yeah, but I would say I think I enjoyed, because I was shooting that short film, I think I enjoyed last lockdown more than this lockdown. Although there's still the opportunity that a short film will be shot during this lockdown.
Well, let's do it.
So,
especially because this lockdown's going to last another 12 months.
Well, there's that joke going around online where it's like, only another week, Auckland, and Jacinda Ardern's been aged.
Yeah.
Who's our Prime Minister? She's been aged like 20 years.
Yeah.
Just one more week, Auckland.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Richard says well, Richard, you didn't say thank you for the budget. He said his jab the jab. He had the second COVID jab, and that was his excuse for not
So what
doing
was the
his
grand
riding.
total of your budget?
I think it came to about $9,500.
So if any of the listeners out there would like to be the executive producer of our next short film,
Mysterious benefactor.
all you've got to do is make a donation of $9,500, or
Easy.
or it doesn't have to be that much, but some amount, and we will give you a executive producer credit. Go to paypal.com and use the email address pigvilleproductions@gmail.com. You can make a donation. Or you can give us $20 for the beers next week. That is also, we do very much appreciate that. Go to paypal.com. Pigvilleproductions@gmail.com is the email address you need, and you can be the official sponsor of the next episode. We will shout you out. We'll buy beers with it. We will, really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think if you have children on lockdown, this whole thing,
Changes drastically.
yeah. Like, we don't want to diminish anyone's circumstances, because there's definitely environments where lockdown would be incredibly difficult, and we have we've got the good lockdown.
Yeah, well, because I'm a deadbeat dad, so all of my kids, I'm not.
You're completely absent. You don't know they exist.
I'm absolutely absent from all of my kids and their lives. So for me, that's the trick. If you want to have a good lockdown, you want to abandon your children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard says we don't discuss figures on the podcast.
Well, that's bullshit. You've got a great figure, Richard. And we do discuss details on the podcast.
We do discuss
We're allowed
figures.
to discuss details of our lives, but Richard doesn't want us to talk about details of his life.
hypothetical figures. So also, that could all change. In fact, I'm sure it will get much lower. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so I think that's where we're at with the old the lockdowns. But my heart goes out to anyone with young children, because their whole respite through the day is shipping them off to school.
Sure, but I mean, maybe you should have just kept it in your fucking pants. Just saying.
Well, I think a lot of people are looking past the point of the meticulous long-term care to when they become independent and they're able to do all the things for themselves and they're just a human being.
Yeah. Well, update on Sperm Quest, my quest to become a sperm donor. This has been an ongoing quest for quite a long time, and recently I got an email from the Fertility Association, who I have been making my sperm donations to, and they said that I need to do my final blood tests, because basically what happens is you go to the sperm clinic. You sign up. They don't pay you. You're doing it. It's an altruistic, behavior to go and to be a sperm donor. And people who can't have children use your sperm to create a family for themselves. And so the way it works is you show up. You've got to make a certain amount of donations, deposits, if you will, and then ultimately they've got to quarantine that semen in order to make sure that you don't have any sort of diseases or anything like that. And so they test you, and then they collect the sample, they keep it for 6 months, they test you, then they collect the sample, then they keep it for 6 months, then they test you again. And so this is my final test as far as I'm aware. I've done it recently. I haven't heard anything which suggests that there are no issues. And and my profile has been shown to potential families out there who want to, make a baby. So it really is happening. I soon enough will have up to 10 children with up to 5 families any day now.
God have mercy on their souls.
For the good of humanity, I am passing on these excellent genes. The kids are going to be so disappointed.
For the families out there, I'd just like to say, on behalf of the Guy and Harley podcast, I'm sorry.
Well, I tell you what, the kids, I'd like to say, as your daddy, to the kids who are 20 years from now listening to this episode,
sorry.
I just want to say I am sorry about being short, bald, and hairy. I do apologize for that. You have inherited those short, bald, and hairy genes.
And those are some of your best qualities.
Exactly. I mean, if the kids are female, then they might be okay, as
Sure.
long as they don't inherit the short, bald hairiness. But shortness is fine in a woman. The baldness and the hairiness, those are generally male traits, so they might actually not inherit those. They might just have like, sparkly blue eyes and your straight white teeth and be short, and that's totally fine if you're female. But if you're male, I do apologize for the baldness and the hairiness. I really shouldn't have passed on my genes.
You should have been less selfish, but unfortunately, that is an inherent trait in your character
Sorry.
that you've now passed on.
I'm sorry that you're so selfish, short, bald, and hairy. No, how is giving life? I'm giving everything to these people. I'm giving everything to these people. That's not selfish at all. So, listeners on the live stream, you need to give us some listener topics, or we're going to have to
wrap
wrap
things
it
up.
up. Not because we don't have energy, not because we don't have beers, but because we've got nothing to talk about because we've been in lockdown for a week. Well, 4 weeks.
Well, has it been 4 weeks now? Exactly. Yeah, it was August the 16th or 17th when we went into lockdown, and we're now at September the 19th, so just over a month. But yeah,
This is New Zealand's longest level 4 lockdown.
Is it?
Yeah, because the first one, well, I'm pretty sure the first one, I don't remember how long it was, but I remember that I read something recently that was saying that this is looking like it's going to be New Zealand's longest level 4 lockdown, and we are living through it right now.
Yeah, I was surprised to find out that my dad didn't really like the chair that much.
Right, because he's an academic.
Because he's an academic, and it's about academics, and it's about the world that he lives in.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah.
Did he watch the whole season?
I think so. I only got the information secondhand off my mum. But they were like both kind of like not as impressed as I was. And I was like, that's weird.
And not as impressed as Jason P. Diddy Combs was either.
Yeah. You know, the that's not scary at all, but like there's frosted glass on the door into the studio. And so you can see like shadows and things passing by. And we just saw a figure, a ghostly figure, walk past our door.
That ghostly figure looked kind of pissed off too.
Yeah.
Like a pissed off ghostly figure.
Yeah. And
just wafting past the window.
It makes me be a little concerned for
your personal safety when the show finishes.
Yeah.
I did actually message that that ethereal
being
to let her know that her dog was in here with us and is safe and
that's good,
being well looked after.
I should probably double check if so good. Okay, I'm safe.
Yeah. Now I sent my agent my new headshots. So I did mention the other week that I got some new headshots done and that I did an audition. And now I sent the audition to them. They responded very positively, favorably to that audition that I sent them, but I haven't heard anything about it. I also sent them some new headshots. No reply whatsoever. No acknowledgement, no nothing about my new headshots from my agent. I really thought they'd be like, oh, thank you, Harley. This makes our job so much easier. Thank you for going to all of this effort to get some new headshots done and get them edited and send them on in and do all of that stuff and do 4 different costume changes and start off with long hair and then shave and then shave down to a tidy beard and then shave off more of it and then shave down to absolutely nothing and then costume changes and all of this shit. I thought they'd be like, well done, Harley. Thank you so much. This makes our job a lot easier. It makes it easier for us to sell you to the clients. No reply and no change on the website. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe my agent doesn't like the new headshots.
Yeah.
It's possible.
They no-sold it.
Well, they might be devastated by the horrific aging of my face. They might be like, how the fuck am I going to work with this? How the fuck are we supposed to... If you're going to give us honest photos, Harley, I'm going to have to give you honest feedback. The honest feedback is you look like shit on camera.
If I was a betting man, I'd say it's more to do with the fact that your agent is having a lockdown meltdown. And your agent is really up to fuck all in a day-to-day running of the agency business and is really kind of slobbed out on the couch eating potato chips and drinking beers.
Well...
And it's just barely even looking at the emails coming through.
Yeah. What's
Barely even registering. Hasn't even looked at those photos.
Because they're all irrelevant.
Yeah, because to them,
Because there's no acting going on.
they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I really think that's the case.
Mm.
So when we drop down a level or something, Richard says we'll drop down a level to avoid lockdown fatigue next week.
Yeah, which is nonsense in my humble opinion. He says that we'll drop down a level because the government knows about lockdown fatigue.
Yeah.
It's true. We might be having lockdown. Well, we are having lockdown fatigue, and the reason why I know it is because today I had to go to the supermarket, and there was cars everywhere. It was not like last year's level 4 lockdown. There was cars everywhere. There was traffic everywhere, and I thought to myself, level 4, my fucking ass. And
so I spied some bikers, right, who were putting their bikes back into the car, right, muddied.
Yeah.
As if they'd gone on a big dirt bike ride in a nearby area, which I thought was very dubious because actually people had been pinged for that last lockdown.
Yeah, you're not supposed to drive somewhere to go for a bike ride.
And
you
I
can
was
go for a bike ride from your house.
I was like, is this time for me to do my civic duty and narc?
Yeah.
Should I be a narc?
Should I snitch on these bitches?
But at the end of the day, my evidence was circumstantial. All I saw was them packing the bike in and that they were muddy.
Yeah.
Who's to say what they were truly doing?
Who's to say they had not rolled around in mud in their own backyard and then taken their bike and put it in the car, which is allowed. You're allowed to put your bike in the car.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, you probably shouldn't snitch anyway.
Snitches get stitches.
Exactly. So, yeah. But yes, there was people everywhere, and I thought to myself, it's really not as level 4-ish this year, this time. People are getting fatigue, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because the government is not operating based on our level of fatigue. They're operating based on the facts surrounding this virus
and the advice of health experts.
Exactly. And so they're not going to be like, well, the population's getting lockdown fatigue, so let's pass the virus around some more. Obviously, the answer is, if you're getting lockdown fatigue, stay the fuck home. Stay home. If we just all stay home for 2 weeks, there's no virus.
If you got fatigue, take a fucking nap.
That fucking simple. Exactly. Take a nap. We've got 2 to 3 weeks. Stay home for 2 to 3 weeks. The virus literally dies. It's that simple. So, lockdown fatigue my fucking ass.
Well, Richard still thinks it's level 3, so we'll be able to tell you on the next podcast.
We will.
Where we're at.
All right. Well, look, I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying these beers. I'm enjoying the combo. But I'm all out of notes. So, if the listeners don't have anything for us,
it's time to say
kakite. All right, well, facebook.com/GuyandHarley, patreon.com/Pigville, youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2, olderfilm.com. You can also check out our other films such as Immy the Vegan, IMMI, find it on Tubi, find it on Amazon. You can also find I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. I'm speaking as slowly as possible so that the listeners on the live stream can give us their listener topics immediately. And also paypal.com and use the email address pigvilleproductions@gmail.com if you'd like to sponsor the show. Really, I mean, if you give us 20 New Zealand dollars, we will buy the beers with that next week, and you will be the star of the show next week. It's really that simple. paypal.com/ no, just the email address pigvilleproductions@gmail.com. And shout out to our listeners, Richard, and also Daniela, and young Jared Murray, and all the rest of you guys out there. We do very much appreciate it when you guys show up. Daniela says that Mount Eden was very busy yesterday. It's true. It's busy today as well. And also, Richard Lambeth does have a listener topic. He's stuck at home, right? And this is what he's got. He's got the Guy and Harley podcast, and he says, don't leave. What are your thoughts on Sweet Tooth? What did you think of Sweet Tooth? Now, I watched Sweet Tooth because I was interested in it because, well, I mean, it looked okay.
It was shot in New Zealand.
And it was shot in New Zealand, exactly. And so I did watch about half of the series. And
Gave up.
I gave up, but not because it was bad, but basically because I was like, well, this is a kid's story. It's a story for kids. It's
Right.
like Stranger Things,
Yeah.
you know, Stranger Things. It's cool and all that, and I would have loved it when I was the appropriate age. And I can see that it's good, and I like it, and I've got no issue with it. But as a 38-year-old man, I'm like, well, I don't know. Do I really give a shit what happens to this this kid character? And I actually know somebody that was in it as well. And so yeah, I thought it was good, but I'm not the target demographic. That's the big problem for me. Did you watch it?
Didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it.
Not interested.
Not interested. Well, good. Good list of topic. Good list of topic, Richard.
So thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time, and I'm going to log us off.
Yeah, but don't do it too quickly. Give us a 5-second count.
Yep. So we will see you all
on the next episode of the Guy and Harley podcast.
And that's it.
Thank you very much. Good night.
See you later. Did I click on stop streaming? I feel like that I did. Are you still going?
We'll see you in a second.
It seems like we're still going.
Seems like the show's still going, Guy.
Well, there's start streaming and stop streaming.
Well, you just have to look closer.
Kathy.
Now you're recording.